My kings of the business. My kings of the business. My kings of the business. My kings of the business.
Hey, this is Sylvia Farbstein, and I am on the air with Mike King. He is widening the lens of humanity, and I'm so happy to be a part of his journey.
I'm sure that's for you. That's for the guy from Delaware. On the mic with Mike, the best business radio program around. How and why? Because we get the best guests. ESPN Richmond is where you find us 5 to 7 a.m. on the 6.1. Also, the Mike King Biz Radio Network is also the Choice 105.3. We are there 2 to 3 every day. On the mic with Mike, we offer the ability for nonprofits, small businesses, everyone, we give them free airtime, and we give it to them on the strength of me hitting up good people like my man over there, Tom Children, the credit card guy. So every so often, I'm up there doing a shakedown saying, hey, Tom, I got a great idea. And usually it results in a PayPal transaction and his hands goes up, but that's it. And I appreciate him. Okay, so I'm just a humble public servant here who's a radio talk show host. I get to meet the best and the brightest with us. We have Danielle Riperton. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
All righty, you represent a really cool organization. I'll get a little closer for a speak. There you go. Let's scoot a little.
Set up a little bit too.
Okay, there we go. There we go. All righty. So the organization that you run, and we're going to talk about how you got to the nonprofit world.
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. I'm a failed music major who couldn't figure out what she was doing with her life and ended up working for a nonprofit organization, and it just stuck. So more than 20 years later, now I'm the executive director of the Children's Museum of Richmond.
That's a pretty cool place.
It's a great place.
Yeah, you know, when somebody says that's a cool place, and you're like, yeah, you know what? It is.
It is.
It is. So how long have you been there?
I have been there just about 18 months. So right before the pandemic struck.
Great timing, ma'am.
I had great timing.
Great timing.
But at least I got to see the organization at its height before the pandemic and all the interesting things that we've had to go through since.
Righty, so I asked people, so you were sitting around that big table, so you got the job and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill it, 2020's coming, and then Corona showed up and all those plans went out the window. Let's talk about what you guys do now that you never would have done before, and you thought about, wow, you know what, this thing kind of works.
Yeah, you know, one of our educators actually says that she learned the language of technology during the pandemic, and it's really true. So we never really thought about having a virtual field trip. And we absolutely do virtual field trips. And I think that we're going to keep them in our repertoire because they work. So
we didn't think it would work.
No, who thought it would work?
It's not going to work. But we've learned that you can do the experience. You can stay connected to people. It's not the best. It's not in person.
Correct.
But it beats nothing.
It beats nothing. And it beats a canned video.
Yes.
So if you're looking for an interactive and highly educational experience, then it works for what you're looking for.
All right, Danielle Riperton is here with us. Tom Children rocking with us. He is the credit card guy. He is a business advocate. So the challenge is running a nonprofit and during a pandemic where you picked a great time. I did. But you're still standing.
We are.
And so sometimes people want to say, and they're kind of shy with saying it was, I kind of did okay. You know, and it's really kind of hard to say because it's been devastating for so many people when you look up and saying, you know what, when I look at other people, we kind of did all right.
Yeah, we survived. And I think that was, as I was driving over here thinking about the pandemic and where we were a year ago, we survived. And now we're open for play again, which is great. And having kids back in the door, watching Splashmore come on and the kids enjoying Splashmore outside the front of the downtown museum and knowing that children and families really need this now more than ever. We survived and we're open, which is really exciting.
That is true. I always ask people, what's the word on the street? You know, what are families saying that you're talking to? It's been a tough time for kids, for parents, everyone. What's the word on the street from your perspective?
You know, parents are stressed and the stress has ebbed and flowed, but it's not gone away and it's not going to go away for a while, which is one of the reasons why we feel like when families come in our door, we want to try and alleviate that stress. so that they can spend that time focused on what's really important, which is family and growing and learning. And so that's what we're trying to create at the museum as a reaction to the stress that we know all of our parents are under and caregivers.
All right, on the Mike, this is the time. This is the sales pitch time. This is your time to shine. Give the sales pitch for the museum.
Well, come see us, first of all, because we want to see all children and families out. But this is actually our 40th birthday year.
There we go.
Which
See,
is
Tom Childry is, he looks good for a guy, who's 30 years old. So they've been around 10 years longer than you.
Absolutely.
And we're loving it. We're loving it. We actually have a 40th birthday celebration coming up on September 10th. It's going to be a fun evening from 7 to 11 at the Downtown Museum. And we're going to shut it down for kids. And it's going to be adults' time to have fun and come out, enjoy a great band, the crew, and have a great time walking down memory lane with the Children's Museum and how far it's come.
So you guys had multiple locations before, correct?
We did.
Let's talk about what it took to think about consolidating, closing them down, and what are your plans going forward?
It was tough. One of the first things in the pandemic that struck us was there was no way we were going to be able to survive with 4 locations. And so we have permanently closed Fredericksburg and Short Pump. And that allowed us in some ways to be able to open in a way that we couldn't have otherwise for downtown and Chesterfield. We took the exhibits from those locations, brought them downtown into Chesterfield, and took out exhibits that we can't literally clean every single part of it. So that we could have new experiences for families. So while we're very disappointed not to be in those areas anymore, we're also still in driving distance for both Short Pump and Fredericksburg. And we are seeing families from those areas come to both the downtown, and I had a family coming to Chesterfield from Fredericksburg. So they're driving to Chesterfield too, which is great. Coming out of the pandemic, we're looking forward to what it will be like to be open more. So we're open 5 days a week now. We hope to build that back up. We're looking how to be better in service with the community. So we're really reaching back in with our nonprofit partners and making sure that we're delivering those quality family experiences. Maybe they're not at the museum. Maybe they're out in the community in different ways. We're going to be at Second Street Festival, Folk Festival, the Pride Festival, making sure that we're getting out and greeting families and having great activities for kids there.
So you are a nonprofit supporting nonprofits.
Yep. I think that's the beautiful thing about the nonprofit community is you build these relationships. So just like you're building all these relationships, and then you see how things work together and how missions align and how we can all be together even greater than we can be on our own.
Ma'am, you know what that sounds like? As my wife would call it, Mike, your kumbaya moment. It's all of this. Ma'am, you cannot be on this program talking all that happiness stuff. But you know what? It works.
It's good stuff.
It works. That's because when you look at that and say, you guys have name recognition, when we are talked about all those small nonprofits who are out there doing those things, doing good work, they don't have the name recognition like you guys do. So, and then when you align with them and you go to an event, it's just like you see the kids light up. That's what makes it worthwhile. The kids light up. Okay, so what's something there that you always see the kids light up for? See, I don't have, well, I got grandkids and I got to bring them there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do. So what's something that the kids always light up when they come there to see?
Oh my goodness. It depends on the kid. And that's the cool thing about the museum with all the different experiences. So for each kid, there's a different thing that they light up about. One of my favorite moments coming out of the pandemic is we opened Chesterfield first. And it was actually the dad that lit up when he got to get on a real size fire truck.
See, that's
it was pretty cool.
And I've gotten in trouble. When I go to something like that, I do get to talking to about that because it's something that you don't get to do all the time.
You don't.
Yeah, parents having a good time.
And that's important too, right? So if mom is happy,
babies
are happy, right? So we want to make sure that the experiences are about that multi-generational learning too. So whether it's grandparent or caregiver or teacher coming in to engage with the child, if they're having fun and engaging with it, everybody's learning together.
Tom Childry, sir, everyone. Have you ever been there?
I have been.
Where have I been? Well, I've missed out.
I don't know. I'm not sure where you were, but you missed out. Went with my niece and nephew.
Okay, Tom Childry.
They're in their late 20s now. When I took them, they were little.
So Tom, when you talk, so he talks to a ton of nonprofits who are out there. Tom, what's a common theme when you talk to nonprofits, what they're experiencing?
I think a lot of the nonprofits are sharing with us that some of their donors have been distracted by the pandemic. So they may not be continuing to donate or attending events like they were pre-pandemic. And it's important for those donors to recognize that those nonprofits still need your help, probably more now than before the pandemic. So, you know, if you have it in your heart and you have it in your wallet, you know, it's time to give.
So Danielle, you are the chief cheerleader fundraiser. You're out there. And the pitch to folks is the community needs the arts. They need to take care of the kids. Richmond's a giving place. Let's talk about that giving community here.
It's amazing. The philanthropic community here and the way that people band together with resources to make nonprofits thrive is really incredible. And I know for the Children's Museum, I can speak, but also for other nonprofits, I'm sure this is the case as well. We wouldn't have survived this past year if it wasn't for the community saying, we believe that the Children's Museum is necessary for our community. It is vital for families to have this type of experience, and we're going to help you to make sure that you get through the pandemic. And Tom's right, we still need that support. When
the pandemic, the world ended, we're just like, okay, what are we going to do? At what point did you look around and say, hey, we might be able to make it out of this thing?
Oh my goodness. So the pandemic started in March. We closed our doors March 14th. We made the decision March 13th. It was Friday the 13th.
Of course it was.
I think that in October or November, I was like, we might make it. We might make it.
Ma'am, that is a very long. that's a long. Oh Lord, that's like, ooh, boy, that's a whole bunch of long days, sleepless nights. You're like, oh boy, are we gonna make it? Then all of a sudden you look up, it's October. It took a long time for us to get to October.
It took a very long time.
Yeah,
very long.
A very long time. And so October, what was it when you got to October that you thought there may be light at the end of the tunnel?
I think part of it was being able to reopen. So September 10th is when we reopened to the public. We started seeing that the families were wanting to come out. We had figured out how to make it work. We were doing time ticket sessions, closing down, cleaning in between. I mean, our staff was cleaning all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And then finally being able to get to October, November, we figured out how to bring Legendary Santa back. And that was a big deal for Richmond. So Legendary Santa is 85 this year, 85 years in Richmond. And being able to see how that was going to come online and we were going to be able to get to the season. And then once we got through the season, we kind of did this, you know, sigh of relief that, you know, we made it and we're going to keep it going.
One of Mike Daniels here, Tom Childry's rocking with us as well. We got to go ahead and pay some bills, I always say. The microphone ain't free, plus my grandkids need stuff. So we'll be back on the other side with these two stellars of the community. We'll talk to you soon.
Hi, this is Andy.
Radio program in RVA. Mike King Biz Radio can be heard on ESPN Richmond 106.1 and The Choice 105.3. Me and Mimi listen every day, and you should too.
On the Mic with Mike RVA is the best business radio program in RVA. It can be heard on the Mike King Biz Radio Network on ESPN Richmond 106.1 FM and The Choice 105.3 FM.
Hi, I'm Roby Martin with CBS 6 Eat It, Virginia, and I was just on the mic with Mike. Me, Mike, Marcy, talking about all things Richmond. Tune in, man, tune in.
On the Mic with Mike, the best business radio program. We had to play some people for you, you know, in honor of, you know, the children. You know, we're supporting young folks. We can't say their names because, you know, our legal fund isn't. Children, you know a guy. He's shaking his head like, I don't know that guy over there. So exactly.
Who are you?
Exactly. What's the name of the program? I don't know. I think this is sports talk. So here on the Mic with Mike. So we're here, Danielle. Explain to people the difference when I was asking you. So it's you guys, it's give us a lay of the land of who you exactly are.
Oh, sure. So downtown, what we call our downtown location is at 2626 West Broad Street. And so we're right next door to the Science Museum, which is super awesome. And then as you mentioned, we're closer to the McDonald's. So if you turn on Terminal, then you get into our parking lot. We're right on the pulse line there. But we are different than the Science Museum. We're two distinct organizations. They are a state organization, and we are our own separate nonprofit organization.
Oh, so you really are out there with the tin cup trying to make it happen.
We are.
But you know what? It's good to find that people find it in their hearts to make things happen. What are some of when you're running a museum? Like people kind of don't understand, like we just go in there, we see exhibits. How do you attract exhibits? How do you attract things, and how long do they stay? Or like, what's that whole process like?
That's such a great question. You know, it's some of it is, does this seem cool? Like if I was a kid of, this many years old, and we serve usually 0 to 8 is what we say. Would this be cool? Is this something that they would enjoy or learn through? And so we look at the learning concepts. We actually just did a demo project in our backyard because we gutted it. It wasn't working anymore. And we had to get a lot of the concrete out of the ground for a defunct exhibit. And now we're going to have a brand new playground coming to us in September, which is super awesome. That project's like, really almost 10 years in the making.
Wow.
To get to that point. But it just depends on the exhibit and what's going on. We're refreshing a couple of other exhibits. And so we do small refreshes every 3 years. But then for major projects, it's usually about 10.
And you're a recruiter as well. So how do you look to draw things in, to bring things to Richmond? Like, what's that process?
It's really looking at what's going on in the world and what needs to come to Richmond for us to see. So we are a part of the Association of Children's Museums. So almost on a weekly basis, especially in the pandemic, I was connecting with other CEOs and executive directors from children's museums, not only in the United States, but across the globe too, which is super cool to see how everybody's doing things in different parts of the world. And so when we see something that's like, oh, I think that could work here in our space, then that kind of starts the creative juices flowing and how that's going to come to fruition in Richmond.
And when you say it will work in our space, is it the physical space, or, okay, so you can look at another facility similar to yours? Is that what you do and then say?
Yeah, in some ways. And in some ways, it's looking at what all do we have on the museum floors right now. So at both downtown and Chesterfield, what are the experiences that we have and what are we lacking? And so we realized in Chesterfield, we didn't have any STEM components and we wanted to refresh that. So the pandemic helped us with that because we brought different pieces of a farm-based exhibit together in the back of Chesterfield, but it's all about STEM learning. It's a microscope to look at the small slides from a soybean, and then it's, how does the harvest process work, and what are the math components of that? So what do we have as a holistic experience for families, and what do we want to bring?
On the mic with Mike. Danielle's here with us, Tom Chaudhry as well. So what's new and exciting upcoming? So you talked about an event that you're having you said for parents.
For parents.
Okay, so let's talk about like the fun thing. These kids, they need to make room, I need to have some fun too.
Kids.
Exactly, because you know what's gonna happen. Dad or mom comes in there. Okay, I gotta ask you, who's worse, dad or mom? When it comes to, they see the thing and they just can't control them. So I'm putting my money on dad because mom can.
It really depends on the person. My husband would tell you it's me.
Okay, so you have that look and all of a sudden he's looking at you saying, she getting ready to start. She getting ready to start, okay.
Yeah, but it just depends on the person, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to have fun.
Everybody does. So we have mad science who come in, they talk about, and I'm like, you see the look, all of a sudden, the stuff starts bubbling over and you see dad or uncle, he's like, okay, he's enjoying it. Like, who didn't like that thing? You might not like any other day in science class on the day that stuff is exploding, or like, I'm there that day. Tom Chaudhry, were you were that guy who were there that day?
Yeah, I was there. We made the volcanoes with baking soda.
Yeah, that was the good old days. That's the good old days. Okay, so you're having an event for parents. What is it that you guys need? We always talk to nonprofits. You guys are out there making things happen. What is it that the museum needs or could get help from with the public?
Well, we need supporters. We need people who believe in our mission and want to support that moving forward. We also have a book bank, and so we accept new or like new books that we gift back out into the community. So if you have books at home, or if you're really passionate about bringing literacy to kids who may not have books in their own homes, that's the goal of that program for the book bank.
You know what? I'd never, well, there's a lot of things I don't know. One of the cool parts about having you on the show is that the book bank, that's something I would think a lot of people may not know that you guys have or do.
Exactly, which is one of the reasons why we try and spread the word. So this is a great platform to say, if you have new or like new books, bring them into the Children's Museum.
All righty, one last time, how can people find you out there?
SeymourVA.org. So if you go to CMORVA.org, or come see us on Broad Street or Lake Harbor, just off Wall Street.
All righty, and Tom Childry?
Tom Childry, the credit card guy. Quick, easy collect. I'll make it easier than you expect. My number is 804-503-VISA 8472. Again, 804-503-8472. Quick, easy collect. I'll make it easier than you expect.
His phone number is Visa.
It's pretty awesome.
It is. It is. Every time he says it, I start to chuckle like I'm in like the 8th grade or something. That's a pretty cool number. All right, on the mic with Mike, we're going to straighten up in here. ESPN Richmond is where you find us, 106.1. That's where 5 to 7 a.m. daily. I'm also on the Choice 105.3, 2 to 3. Well, I'm not there 2 to 3 every day. I'm there on Fridays from 2 to 2:30. We offer nonprofit businesses a chance to offer what they do, to tell their message. And we do that from good folks like Tom Childry right here. Like I said, every so often, we hit him up with the, it's like a church plate. You know, come with the heartstrings, you know.
Father grab a butt.
Exactly. So I hit him up so that we have an opportunity to offer airtime to nonprofits and small businesses who are out there. We offer the chance for them to tell their story. One of Mike with Mike, I'm getting to wrap up. It is ESPN Richmond 106.1. We bring you the best and brightest thing. Thank you for coming in. You're part of the family now, so you understand how this craziness works. You got to come back. Tell us what's all going over there with you.
Thank you.
Tom Childry, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
One of Mike with Mike, as I say, baby, I'm on the way home. We're trying to beat this corona thing. We got to take care, folks. Take care.